Professor Shrikant, your thoughts on Prime Minister Modi's comments at the plenary?
Thank you for having me on the show. I think the Prime Minister raised the fundamental issues concerned to the Indian vision as well as security. There is the mention about connectivity and the INSTC and IMEC related. He also mentioned about the sovereignty aspects that need to be taken care of in this regard. Secondly, there is the specific mention about Pahalgham, which indicates that there is the China-Pakistan role in this. Remember, the one of the terrorists on April 22nd was sending messages through the Huawei phone and Peito series of satellite connections. So there is that Chinese connection there. Also, Li Changqie, the Chinese representative at the Geneva meeting on the 1267 committee, he had removed, along with the Pakistani representative, removed the resistance front name and included the BLA and Majid Brigade. In the meetings that Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar had in the SCO Defense and Foreign Ministerial meeting, they have mentioned about these as well. And the draft resolutions did not include the Indian position. Which indicates that the Prime Minister has to very explicitly mention this, because none of this is going to be part of the joint statement of the SCO, okay. Because the host has that prerogative. And as it happened in Qingdao meeting of the SCO 5 years ago, there is likely to be no mention of the Indian position in the final draft resolution of the SCO meeting today.
Okay. In fact, there is a piece of breaking news that is coming in now. At the Shanghai Cooperation Council meeting, in the members session in Tianjin, Russian President Vladimir Putin has said, and I quote him, "I appreciate China and India's efforts to resolve the crisis in Ukraine." This is coming at a time when Donald Trump's key advisor, Peter Navarro, has said that this is India's war, Modi's war. Geeta.
Absolutely. The Russian side, Maria, understands the importance and the important role India has played, not just in terms of how that it stood by Russia, that it bought Russian oil at a time when Russian economy was on a verge of collapse. It did not do it out of its own volition alone, that the Europeans needed it, refined oil and sent it to Europe. And as much as Donald Trump would not want to believe it, India has had a role to play in being the peacemaker, engaging Putin and engaging Zelensky at various times to talk about dialogue and diplomacy, and yet not funding the war. So this certainly is not Modi's war. That message comes from none other than Vladimir Putin himself.
Yes, that's right. So Ambassador Sood, India and China say that they are partners, not rivals. And now Vladimir Putin, in his opening statement, has said that he really welcomes India's efforts to resolve the crisis.
Well, I think I would tend to share Namrata's caution about whether we have put India-China rivalry to rest. What has China been doing in India's neighborhood? Have those issues been resolved? I thought we have had considerable concerns about the growing Chinese presence in South Asia and in the Indian Ocean. We have also had growing concerns about the mega dam that China is building, on which, if I remember right, during Wang Yi's visit, what was agreed was that in case there is a crisis, then China will share some hydrological data. Regular exchange of hydrological data has not been accepted by China. We also have not seen any moves by China with regard to addressing the trade deficit, which has been a source of considerable concern for us. And let me also remind that what has happened is we had asked earlier that we wanted a return to status quo ante of April 2020. We have not seen that. What we saw last year, the completion, which was marked with the meeting between Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Modi at Kazan, was the disengagement, not de-escalation.
That's
Not
right.
there was no retreat of the soldiers who had gone to the line of actual control, coming back to their peacetime locations, and that situation still continues. So I don't see how we can now switch our description from rivalry to partnership or anything like that.
Okay, so there's cautious optimism, I would say here, which is happening. Professor Shrikant, how do you look at Vladimir Putin's Russian president's statement? He has reiterated Moscow's position that attempts by the West to drag Ukraine into NATO are one of the causes of the crisis in Ukraine.
Well, as you know, the Indian and Chinese positions have been neutral, relatively positive towards Russia, but neutral in essence. And this has been reiterated in the UN General Assembly and other fora by the Indian representatives. So still it is good for Russia because in terms of the international isolation that Russia faced in the past 3 years, the neutrality position of India and China still will be conducive for the Russian interests. And in the background of the energy supplies from Russia to both China and India, there is a positiveness towards Russia in this whole conflict. The Indian side has not criticized Russia, nor the Chinese, and so that is a big gain for Russia in terms of the international isolation that it faced and sanctions it faced from the West, Europe, and the United States. So from that point of view, I think President Putin's statement is quite appropriate and also in line with what Premier Primakov had mentioned in 1998 about multipolarity. And since then, there has been a number of summit level meetings as well as foreign ministerial meeting between Russia, India, and China. And this has also diversified into BRICS, SCO, and other multilateral institutions which stood for multipolarity. So I think he was trying to put that in context of the Russian help that India and China were able to extend indirectly. There is no material support from India in any format. India has not supplied any arms. In fact, India had imported arms from Russia instead of contributing to the Ukrainian front. On the other hand, of course, the Chinese have supplied some arms or systems, especially drone technologies, electronic warfare equipment, satellite space photographs for the Ukrainian theater, and other systems. But India had not supplied anything for Russia. So the statement from the US that India contributed to the Ukrainian conflict, I think that is
Okay.